With just 4 races left in the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear season, we arrive in Timminsville, South Carolina, the track they call the Diamond of the Southeast, to settle the Cookout 225. So happy you could be joining us on a beautiful Friday evening from Florence Motor Speedway. I'm Blake McCandless, joined alongside by my good friend Eric Brendan. We'll have James Pike catching all the stories down in the pit area in just a couple of moments. And Eric, I think we put it out there plainly. 4 races left in the season. We have one heck of a title fight going on in the late model stocks. The pro late models have their own fight going on as well. But whenever you come to Florence Motor Speedway, there are so many drivers in this field who call this place home, who run here on a weekly basis, and those are the cars we're looking at after the practice sessions through the last couple of days that have a real chance to end up in Cookout victory lane in the Cookout 225.
There's been a lot of proof that knowing this racetrack quite well does parlay to great success in some of the big races. This track kicks off their year with the Icebreaker, ends the season with the South Carolina 400, and the stop for the Cars Tour is also highlighted as one of their biggest events in the calendar year. And as Blake mentioned, a lot of the hometown heroes are drivers who committed to this racetrack at one point or another in their career, or even to this day in weekly competition. Knowing how to get around this 0.4 of a mile racetrack that has unique characteristics and layers all about, it seems to parlay quite well into immediate success. And on a night like this, Blake, beautiful weather that we have here to round out the last month of August, I think it's going to bode well for not just us up here, the fans watching on Flow, but the continuous income of fans to the grandstands. This place is going to be packed tonight.
It is, and just thought we were almost getting past that hot weather that we've had over the last couple of weeks, but 86 degrees, that will continue to cool on down throughout the night. Going to be a beautiful evening for these race fans, weather-wise, to come on out here. You can see many of which have already started to fill the track before we get our entire program going tonight, which will also include some competing of the local divisions here at this racetrack. But Eric, they call this the Diamond of the Southeast for a reason. A totally unique facility that was opened in 1982. It's 0.4 of a mile, doesn't have a wall on the back straightaway, but drivers, teams alike, they love coming to this racetrack because it's technical and it presents a challenge that we love about racing in the Palmetto State and more specifically towards the coastal area of South Carolina.
And we're in the shadows of Darlington Raceway. In fact, many of the fans who are here tonight are going to go enjoy some of the festivities there, and we might even see some all-star appearances throughout the night of all the race fans preparing for the Southern 500 to come on check out some of the grassroots that remain planted in South Carolina with this style of racing. As we now check in with the third member of our broadcast team, James Pike.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Blake. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Blake. And fabulous weather we've got down here in Florence, South Carolina, but warmer weather than what we've had over the course of the past few visits here, and warmer weather than what I think a lot of people expected coming into this week. We were figuring maybe about 5 to 10 degrees cooler. It still feels really, really warm in here. Now, worth noting that maybe about 15 minutes before we went on air, there was a cloud that came over the racetrack, and it dropped the sort of real field temperature by about 5 to 10 degrees. And this is the exact kind of weather where if we get a cloud that covers the racetrack during a few of these runs coming up in qualifying for the pro late models and late model stock cars, that could genuinely make a difference on time because it's just sunny enough to where you get a little bit of cloud cover. That will help a lot. So something to keep an eye on just in case, but a lot of fun to be had later on this evening at the Diamond of the Southeast.
It makes it very unique, and even hearing some of the radio communication earlier with some of these drivers, they were looking at this track temperature, Eric, and they were saying that it was nearly 20 degrees hotter today than what it had been in practice yesterday, and we saw that reflected through many of the practice times and speed charts that we saw coming into this race. But speaking of coming into this race, it's hard to imagine, Eric, we're already at this part of the season, just 4 races left in the season. This is how the pro late models look. Ben Mayer with a very comfortable lead in the Sensor Racing and Development number 6. He's got an interesting owner's points battle that's going on right now, but has a healthy lead, 32 points over Brandon Lopez right now.
We're at the point in the season where you're going to see a lot of differing agendas here. Obviously, the top of the point standings for the pros not as tight as what we're seeing on the late model stock side, but you've got Ben Mayer who wants to win that first Cars Tour race. He won on debut with this team to start the year at Cordele. Dylan Garner in his second year looking for a win as well. Rodney Dallas with a new team tonight. And Keelan Harvick, fresh off of what was another West Coast battle with his father, back in Cars Tour competition, looking to add another win to the win column after getting the job done at Hickory earlier this season. There are stories aplenty across the pro late early model and late model stock fields, and there could be a potential shakeup should Ben Mayer find trouble. But Blake, opposite end of the spectrum, top 4 in the late model stock, separated by 28 points. In fact, take it down a notch there. Landon Huffman at 5th, 33 markers out with 4 races to go.
It is tight amongst this late model stock car field, and what a transition it's been throughout the course of the season. Connor Hall, who came out of the gate swinging at the beginning of the year, still holds on to his championship points lead, but it has dwindled down to 4 points with the incredible performance lately of Kevin Harvick Incorporated's Landon Lewis, Cade Brown, Minnie Tyrell, and Landon Huffman all within a race. Again, it is 44 points that are paid out to win a ZMAX Cars Tour race to end up in Cookout Victory Lane. And as you can see, 5 drivers that realistically have a shot, depending on how things shake out, to try and win a championship. As one more time, we'll toss it down trackside to James Pike.
Eric and Blake, one of the other standings we're following over the course of these final few races of the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear Season are those of the FloRacing Fieldmaster Award. Now, this is not necessarily passing points. It's genuinely how many cars you pass, and there is a monetary prize on offer for both the Pro Late models and the Late Model stock cars. For the specifics, you can visit the Flo or Cars Tour websites. But as we look at the standings of the Fieldmaster Award coming into tonight, Ronnie Bassett Jr., Donovan Strauss in a 2-way fight amongst the Late Model stock cars. There are 3 spots between them over the course of these final 4 races that will determine where that goes. So watch those 2, especially if they're racing their way through the middle of the field, trying to charge towards the front. With the Pro Late models, it's even tighter at the top. Rodney Dallas, Dylan Garner, Brandon Lopez separated by 5 positions on the racetrack. So when we move our cameras a little bit further back in the field and look at some of the mid-pack battles, keep an eye on those 5 drivers because they will be right in the thick of things. And maybe we might see a Doug Barnes or an Isaac Kitzmiller jump into the fight for the Fieldmaster Award, but plenty to race for not only at the front of these field, Eric and Blake, but also towards the middle of the pack.
And again, that's been something that a lot of those drivers have been eyeing all year long. And again, it's not something you typically want to be on, Eric. You want to be up at the front of the field. You don't want to have to pass a lot of cars, but we know that some tight and competitive racing has been going on all season long. You can continue to see the work still being done. Technical inspection just about wrapping up for the late model stock cars means that qualifying is just around the corner, starting with the pros and on to the late model stocks. We'll be right back from Timmonsville. Don't turn the dial. We'll be right back on Flow. Back with you here from Florence Motor Speedway. As you could see, Eric, plenty of fans already filing their way into the grandstands long before our scheduled green flag racing time, which again will come after some local divisions that will be competing here as well. The Bandoleros are going to be in action. Legends Car competition will be out here as well, including Kyle Busch will be driving in that Legends Car race as well. They'll be competing for 20 laps, as well as being joined along by the Allison Legacy Series before starting our driver introductions and pro late model and late model stock car features for the Cookout 225 a little bit later on tonight. So just a couple of moments away, as we mentioned, a couple of cars going through the technical inspection line for a second time. So it'll be just a moment before we roll the cars off here for the pro late models. But Eric, I think a big story here in pro late models is looking at that car at the front of the field. We chronicled the driver's point standings just a couple of minutes ago in terms of where they're running, but the car that's going out first right now is a car that is still competing for that owner's championship, the 51 of Cody Ware. That actually I think is about ready to roll out onto the racetrack.
Yeah, we talk about the uniqueness of this race, falling right up against Southern 500 weekend, which is not far away from Florence Motor Speedway at all. And that kind of allows an opportunity for some of the Sunday Series competitors to not only come on out and check out Florence Motor Speedway, but maybe strap into a race car and compete. That is what full-time NASCAR Cup Series driver Cody Ware is about to do for the second time in 2025. We last saw Cody at our Wednesday stop at Caraway in the middle of the summer portion of the stretch of the schedule. He's now back behind the wheel of the Rick Ware Racing number 51, today representing Parts Plus, Costa Oil, and Ford Performance. The number 51 car driven by a Greensboro, North Carolina native and Cup Series competitor Cody Ware. And as Blake mentioned, it's been a hot year so far for this team. Brother Carson Ware has gone to victory lane. Luke Baldwin has gone to victory lane with this team twice. And Cody Ware is going to set the bar for pro late model Mahle Pistons Pole qualifying here at Florence Motor Speedway, the second ever Cars Tour sanctioned pro late model race at this 4/10 of a mile oval. Ware will be the first car on the racetrack of 13 scheduled to contest the Speedway to see how things will shake up when the field lines up later on. We'll update you on the time that Ware was able to put down, but this will be his second start of the season. Ware with a 17:57 with a 3.
17.57, that is going to be a quite competitive lap time, and we'll see how this evolves again with how competitive both the pro late models and late model stock cars are. We'll see if going out early, going out late will be the better way to go about it. But 13 cars here for the pro late models, joined alongside by local competitor here at Florence Motor Speedway in the Ertel Construction Toyota out of Summersville, South Carolina. Dusty Garris, car number 22, coming on out. If you've been a part of our FloRacing coverage over the last couple of years at this race, including the South Carolina 400, you'll remember many Super Truck competitions that Dusty Garris took part in. In fact, he was the Super Truck champion here at this racetrack 1 year ago and comes up just a 1/10 of a second shy, or actually a 1/10 of a second better than what Cody Ware was able to lay down. 17.475, Dusty Garris, fastest of the two.
One of the interesting midweek stories coming into this race involves the driver pulling out on the racetrack right now. Rodney Dowlish Jr., who was 4th in championship points coming into the weekend. The driver, who hails from Dix Hills, New York, out on Long Island, has driven for Walker Motorsports up to this point of the season, now sliding over to the Ty King Motorsports number 62 that we've seen a couple of times this season with very successful driver Casey Roderick at the wheel. Now Rodney Dowlish will take claim to this number 62 machine tonight in the Ty King Motorsports X10 Lifts, Gelm, K3 Fencing, and Fall Line Construction number 62 with that neon green blasted across the sides of the race car. Rodney's going to be hard to miss tonight. First lap will be a 17.977 the first time around. Dusty Garris, one of the hometown heroes, out in front of the 3 cars that have been on the racetrack so far, while Dallas looks for a big pickup here on lap number 2. You can see these drivers wrestling with the car off of turn number 4. He improves on lap 2, but not enough to pick up spots. He'll remain P3.
I was talking to a couple of different competitors here at Florence Motor Speedway that have called this place home over the years, and one of the themes that continued to come up was the fact of experience and being able to get laps at this racetrack. Well, this young driver will have the opportunity to do so both in the pro late models and the late model stock cars. This is the ALL Construction Chevrolet, the pro late model that he'll be piloting tonight for Petersburg, West Virginia's Isaac Kitzmiller, whose first lap is a 17.682. His teammate Keelan Harvick that'll be following up here in just a couple of moments. As his first lap is good for 3rd, goes all the way to the outside retaining wall off of turn number 4, looking to pick up some time and is going to be able to do so, however, stays 3rd fastest for Isaac Kitzmiller.
One of our winners in 2025. In fact, second in championship points with 5 top 10s across the 9 races held up to this point. Second year in competition for the Woodstock, Georgia native, driving the Atlanta Paving and Concrete and Sundance Equipment Sales number 6, Brandon Lopez, 32 points behind Ben Mayer in the championship, hoping to repeat the success he had at Caraway, see if he can close that mark with 4 races left to go. Lopez, who ran this race a year ago, started 7th but finished 13th after being involved in a mid-race crash, times in 4th on his first go-around. The familiar bright blue that the Bryson Lopez team represents, they've got 2 cars in the field tonight, second one to come a short while from now, but one of the co-owners of this organization, Brandon Lopez, he clocked in 4th quickest on lap 1, goes quicker yet on lap 2, but remains in 4th spot.
Both the Pro Late Models and Late Model stock cars, there are plenty of drivers that are making their ZMAX Cars Tour debut, including this young man, the Nighthawk Frozen Foods, RTM Construction, and Spiller Industrial Park Chevrolet for a family-owned race team. Newton, North Carolina's Case James piloting car number 15 tonight, and first lap is going to go out and just improve upon the lap that Brandon Lopez laid down. 4th fastest for James in car number 15 at a 7:59. The young driver looking to garner as much experience in these full fendered stock cars. Checkered flag in the air, and can James improve upon his opening lap? Looks like he's the first one to not improve on his opening lap, so he'll stand on that 7:59.
6 top 10s, 4 top 5s in the 9 races held so far, and a 32-point advantage for this driver for Setzer Racing and Development, driving the BOE Marine Honda Marine Chevrolet out of Chester, Maryland. Ben Mayer looking for career win number 1 with the Cars Tour. Going to see if he can challenge for the pole. He's 4th on his first go-around. Mayer, who started off his season with a win with this organization at Cordeal in January, has been oh so consistent, just trying to rattle any bad luck that has been able to find him and take him out of race-winning contention several times this season, and he'll pick up a spot on lap 2. P3 for Ben Mayer, the points leader, as we welcome now the 8th car on track for qualifying.
Really curious to see how this driver does. First off, oh, is Avedissian super loose. Was just about to talk about the fact that she had an incredible save at Anderson just a couple of weeks ago, but my, oh my, was that car loose going down into turn number 1. This is Clovis, California's JD Avedissian, who will have a second opportunity here to try and gather it back up. Again, slowest of the 8 we've sent out thus far to 18,294. But again, went to Cookout Victory Lane at the season opening race at now Coastal Plains Raceway, a track that many comparators liken to Florence because of the amount of tire wear. And what a rebound for Avedissian. 3rd fastest at a 5:81, but she put on a show there going into turn number 1.
Next up, driving for Rackley Ward, the number 62, representing Morton Builders, an easy go tonight. Did not compete with us at Anderson Speedway last time out, but for good reason. Had to go up against his father and a bunch of hungry competitors in the Cars Tour West Series at Colorado National Speedway last week. And wouldn't you know, for the 2nd time this season, he came out on top. Keelan Harvick from Charlotte, North Carolina, 2nd quickest on his first go-around. Winner at the first stop at Hickory Motor Speedway in the summer months in what was a makeup race. Keelan looking for win number 2 at a racetrack that he has run legend cars before. We'll see what he's got here on this 2nd lap. Needs a little bit more to get Dusty Garris and to the pole. Keelan Harvick with a 17:44 with a 6, about 3/100ths of a second clear, with just a few cars make that 4 cars left to go.
Going to have to dodge a fast one here, and in fact a driver that, as we mentioned earlier, will be competing in both the Pro Late Models, and he'll be hopping behind the wheel of a Matt Piercy Racing Chevrolet when it comes to the late model stock cars. But this is the Bryson Lopez Racing number 47, the Atlanta Paving and Concrete machine for Davidson, Nevada's Tyler Reif. First lap through, 7th fastest at a 17:653. And again, a 1/10 of a second would be a huge pickup for Reif, would move him all the way to the inside of row number 2, wheeling that car off of turn number 4. And Reif is going to be able to do just that, improved by nearly 1/2 of a second up into 3rd for Tyler Reif in the 47.
From one double-duty driver to another. This one driving the number 44 family-owned operation out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, in the Jones Utilities and Construction Machine, Connor Jones. Hard to believe that the 2023 Pro Late Model World Series of Asphalt champion and multi-time Pro Late Model winner across other disciplines is still looking for his first Cars Tour Pro Late Model win. Could tonight be the night for Jones? His first lap puts him 8th in the running order of the 11 cars that have been out on track. And the multi-time victor on the late model stock side is going to try to see if Florence is the track where lightning could strike twice, maybe lead to a sweep of the night. Looking for a big pickup here on lap 2, and he'll find it. In fact, he'll jump up to 4th for Connor Jones as we've got 2 cars left to go.
The Bergesons Heating and Air and Atlanta Paving and Concrete Chevrolet, the third Bryson Lopez Racing entry of the night for California's Chase Bergeson, car number 31. That Chase will be sporting tonight, a competitor many a times on the Cars Tour West side of things in these straight rail chassis cars. First lap through here for Bergeson's going to nestle him in the 11th position, 17.851, but has proven successful out west and trying to do the same thing here on the East Coast, including a runner-up finish at Coastal Plains Raceway to start the 2025 season. Second lap is going to be an improvement, just enough to get into the top 10, 9th fastest for Bergeson.
And the final car to go, the driver 3rd in points in his 2nd full-time season with the Cars Tour on the Pro Late Model side out of Yorba Linda, California, driving for his family-owned race team in the GESI DXPX Fit G Sport by GESI and AR Bodies number 97, Dylan Garner. First time around for Garner is going to slot him in 11th at a racetrack which he does have experience in with the Cars Tour and the Pro Late Models. Looking to see if he could pick up significantly here to challenge Keelan Harvick for the Mahle pole. A bit of a bobble off of turn 4. And at the strike, Garner will slow down just a little bit. And that means that Keelan Harvick will net another Mahle pole award in 2025. This one coming at Florence Motor Speedway. The last time that Keelan Harvick won a Cars Tour pole, Hickory Motor Speedway went on to lead all but 1 lap en route to his first career win. James Pike is standing by with our Mahle Pole Award winner.
Keelan Harvick will lead the field of green here at Florence Motor Speedway and the Pro Late Models Mahle Pistons Pole Award winner. And Keelan, for as much as you have a penchant of driving off the right rear tire at a place that's so abrasive on tires as Florence, what's your plan to manage tire wear over the course of these 100 laps?
Just try not to burn the right rear off, like you said, and just keep everything smooth.
How important is it going to be to have the track position starting up front so you can sort of control your destiny?
I think it's definitely going to mean a lot because just tires are everything here, and just for me to control the pace is huge.
Running his own pace, running his own race, and hoping to end in Cookout Victory Lane at the end of the evening. Keelan Harvick, Mahle Pistons Pole Award winner for the Pro Late Models at Florence and the ZMAX Cars Tour, presented by Sound Gear.
2 important points in the championship collected by Keelan Harvick in his number 62 for Rackley War. Again, they'll have he and Isaac Kitzmiller competing tonight in the Easy Go Chevrolet here for Keelan Harvick. Also 1 point paid out to the 2nd fastest qualifier here tonight in Mahle Pistons Pole Award qualifying. And Eric, I got to say, what a lap put up by Dusty Garrison, that number 22 car. We say it time and time again, whenever we come out to Florence Motor Speedway here at the Cars Tour, regardless of the division that we're competing in, doesn't matter. There's always a driver that is towards the front of the field. And in fact, I think there's a very good chance when we move to Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award qualifying, which we're going to do here right now, that somebody like that will end up at the top of the speed charts.
A lot of the drivers we're going to talk about tonight certainly have deep roots here at Florence Motor Speedway, but you may be hard-pressed to try to find someone who has as diverse of a background as our first qualifier, attempting to make his Cars Tour Late Model Stock debut from Houston, Texas, driving for Matt Piercy Racing in the Alessandro Chevrolet and Geraldo Media Group number 27. This is Elio Meza. Now, Elio has 2 wins at Hickory this season in the Paramount Kia Big Ten Challenge, but prior to this, he's been racing in Mazda MX-5 Cup in 2025, and he also went on to win or finish second in the championship standings in Formula 4 cars in Mexico last year, picking up 2 wins along the way. Now shifting to pavement-style stock cars in 2025, and Elio Meza for a very stout team, 17.696 to kick off Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Polo Award qualifying.
When we were looking at mock qualifying speed earlier today, Eric, Casey Kelly, now granted it was earlier in the day, the track temperature was a little bit hotter, but a 77 was the best lap by nearly a tenth and a half at that early portion of the race. So that lap by Meza, that is a good one. And speaking of drivers that call this place home, this driver is so excited to get back to this racetrack. It's hard to imagine that just a couple of years ago, we welcomed Locust Grove, Georgia's Laney Bice, who debuted with a qualifying spot in the top 10 just a couple of years ago at the beginning of 2023. Ran a majority of races here. In fact, the entire schedule with Rev Racing here at this racetrack just a year ago. But we'll move up to the top of the charts despite the slide off of turn 4. Laney Bice now fastest at a 17.548. Man, we might see some really fast times around this diamond of the Southeast tonight.
And my unofficial check is that is a new Cars Tour track record. Zach Miracle held the honor with a 17.564. So Laney Bice has broken the track record here. Is that number going to fall further down? This driver may challenge it. 2021 Icebreaker winner at this Speedway. 9th start of 2025, second on lap 1. Aaron Sales and Lease, number 16, out of Supply, North Carolina, Chad McCumbee. Looking for a similar pickup as what we saw from Bice on lap 2. McCumbee to the line and to the pole with a 17.505.
That is incredible. All it took was a couple of hours, and they have really started to push the pace. I talked to a lot of drivers who thought that a 6 was going to be pretty safe or put you in a really good position. That may not necessarily be the case here tonight. As we talk about anytime you come to Florence Motor Speedway, you have to talk about this driver, the second-generation racer in the RG Excavating Chevrolet from Mooresville, North Carolina. It is Ryan Glinsky, somebody who came to this racetrack. His father, Randy, was a dirt racer up from New York, and he is very adamant about being able to run this race and get the high groove working by the end of the night. He uses the bottom here in qualifying and will stay 4th fastest of the 4 cars we've sent out, a 7.34 for Ryan Glinsky.
Talk about drivers who certainly have roots at this Speedway. Here's another one who certainly has roots in this quadrant of the country. Former track champion at Southern National Motorsports Park, making his 30th career Cars Tour late model stock start, but first since 2022, and he's a former runner-up finisher with the Tour. Did so at Hickory back in 2021. This is the Dorwart Matthews Motorsports number 63 from Richlands, North Carolina, Tyler Matthews, 5th on his first go-around, and we'll check what lap number 2 brings here for Matthews in his return to Cars Tour competition.
And in fact, this 63 car was issued a penalty post-qualifying, so you see that 17.934 that goes up. Instead of allowing just one attempt at a qualifying lap, they will only take the first lap there for Matthews, so you can see that lap deleted right there, and he'll stand on his 18.156. That news was brought to us just prior to late model stock car qualifying, after there were a couple of cars that had to go through technical inspection a second time earlier this afternoon. Tyler Reif back behind the wheel, the number 7 out of Davidson, Nevada, this time for Matt Piercy Racing on the late model stock car side of things, and he's put up a pretty good lap number 1, a 6.70, 3rd fastest for Tyler Reif, looking to try and challenge for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award, and a 5.71 pick up there for Tyler Reif on lap number 2. So a solid opening lap as we welcome Carson Lofton onto the track and toss it down to James Pike.
Down here with Landon Huffman for Carroll Speed Shop. And February was your first start in 2025 with this team. How much have you learned racing with this group between that start Florence here and now?
Oh, it's a totally different race team from then. I mean, we've been building and learning all year. Really, really proud of my Carroll Speed Shop group. You know, we've been putting together really solid runs here the last couple of weeks. So just proud of our speed we've had late in the race, but qualifying's been an obstacle. So my plan, today is to hopefully put our industrial battery and Charger Inc. 57 up front at the start, and then have less cars to pass at the end. So Florence isn't one of my favorite places, but we've got a really good fast race car, so we'll see what happens.
Landon Hubbard's been knocking on the door. Cookout Victory Lane. These last few starts will hope to break through and win tonight at Florence.
Thanks, Mike. We saw Carson Lofton go to second spot in the Nelson Motorsports number 22. Here's another former Icebreaker winner on the racetrack, and a racetrack he knows quite well. Doug Barnes Jr., Air Doug, at the Jones Toyota for lead podium performance. Multi-time winner here in weekly racing. Scored very well in terms of the championship standings. In fact, he is the highest running rookie coming into this race, 7th in points. That first lap may not be what they were looking for. 7th of 8, with Barnes looking for a big pickup here off of turn 4. Barnes looking for what could be his first career Cars Tour win on the night. Good pickup here on lap number 2. It'll get him into the 17.5s. It's a 17.559 to jump up to 4th.
Next driver on the racetrack, we talked earlier about the FloRacing Fieldmaster Award. This is the driver that has now taken over the top spot, leading those standings through virtue of many solid runs and driving through many fields throughout the course of the 2025 season, and looking to do the same, but perhaps start a little bit better tonight. This is the Buddy Scoops Ice Cream 04 for Ronnie Bassett Jr. First lap is an 18 flat, as he ran 3rd in his first start here in Cars Tour competition back in 2023. Followed that up with a 15th place finish last year, and for now is going to stay 8th fastest for Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the 04. So Bassett will bring it on in. Again, we'll toss it down trackside one more time to James Pike.
And I'm down here with Dale Earnhardt Jr. who's making another start at Florence in the Cars Tour. Dale, back in November, charged to the field, had the fuel pump issues late, but considering how that played out, are you maybe a little bit more motivated to try and get to the front tonight?
Well, it's the same car, same setup for the most part, but it's just awesome to be here. It's a fun racetrack. Good to see everybody turn out. We got a lot of great teams here for both classes, so it's going to be fun from behind the wheel, but I think it'll be fun from the grandstands and on flow as well.
Race pace has been there the last few starts for Dale. Going to look to put a show on for these fans of the stands at Florence Motor Speedway.
Thanks, Pike. And the last time that Dale was here, the South Carolina 400, drove his way up into 2nd before some misfortune there. And looking for a little bit of redemption here on a night where that car and that race team has proven to be fast every time they roll into this very unique racetrack, as we're on a bit of a hole. A piece of debris found in turn number 1. Safety and track crew attending to that over in the first corner, allowing Brandon Pierce a chance to sit back and think about how he wants to approach this qualifying run. This is going to be Brandon's 4th Cars Tour start at Florence. The highlight across his Cars Tour resume at this speedway. Started back at 13th here in 2021, drove up to finish 2nd. So far this season, he had a similar charge for his best result in 2025. Started 23rd at Wake County, drove up to 9th. He was 3rd in the 2021 South Carolina 400 and followed it up with a podium effort in 2022 at the Icebreaker. Pierce representing Crossroads Harley-Davidson, IBCI, and Josh Sellers. One of 2 cars in the field tonight for Carroll Speed Shop. We heard from one of the other competitors representing that brand, Landon Huffman. And it will be Pierce, who is 2nd all-time in career starts with the late model stocks. Behind that of only former champion Deke McCaskill. Pierce will be the next car to roll out once the thumbs up is given from the track crew as they continue to attest to turn number 1 to see if they've got all that picked up. We'll go back down pit lane to Pike.
Caught up with a driver who knows a little bit about running on tracks that are abrasive with tires. How about the Hampton Heat winner at Larry King Law's Langley Speedway, Matt Waltz? Matt, do the notes maybe transfer a little bit easier here than some of the other places, given how much this place chews up tires too?
I don't know. A lot of people say it does, but by the way we've been running here today, we've definitely struggled a little bit. This is a tough racetrack. We had just struggled a little bit for speed with our Waltz Engineered Sales, Waltz Water Davcon Chevrolet, but we've worked on it. We've been working on it pretty hard, and we really didn't get a good run on tires. We end up breaking something on the brakes, so it's been a little bit of a struggle. We made some pretty big changes here for qualifying, so I'm pretty optimistic that it's going to be helpful. It was something we may have overlooked, and we'll get ready and see what we got here with qualifying. But either way, just happy to be here at Florence Motor Speedway, and looking forward to the race tonight and trying to be there at the end.
Every time he's competed against Cars Tour level competition in 2025, this car has had top 5 speed. No reason to believe that Matt Waltz can't do the same thing again tonight at the Diamond of the Southeast.
Well, and it hasn't just been Cars Tour competition that Matt Waltz has been awfully strong and shown a lot of speed. You can see the track cleanup that is continuing to go in turns 1 and 2. We're hearing that it may be some fluid, some fuel that was leaked out, and you can see a couple of different folks, including Cars Tour officials that are on the scene, some Carroll Speed Shop and KHI team members out there helping that effort as well to try to get that into the racetrack cleaned up. But Eric, Matt Waltz was somebody that throughout the 2025 season, particularly in the Virginia Triple Crown with that team, of course, ran strong at South Boston, did get the finish to go along with that, but followed that up going on and winning the Hampton Heat just a couple of weeks later. And as a driver that, again, he doesn't have the worry of trying to qualify into the Valley Star Credit Union 300 in Martinsville in a couple of weeks. He knows he'll be starting that field. I can't wait to be up there calling that race with you on FloRacing. And but again, he's a driver that's one of the few races that they have to focus on here to close the 2025 season.
Matt was kind enough to allow me the chance to catch up with him midweek leading up to this event, and I posed a question about the break that he took in 2018. He won the track championship at Langley in 2017 and said it was time for me to regroup and focus on a couple other things. Came back part-time in 2021, he said, but this year is when things finally feel like they're clicking on all cylinders and the results are showing. We'll see if it'll transfer over to the Cars Tour side of things. As after the short hesitation, another number 2 car in the field. Matt Waltz will be scored as the 2W. This one, the number 2 of Brandon Pierce. A racetrack that he knows quite well, has competed in across many of the Cars Tour races that the series has ever run here. In fact, all four Brandon Pierce has been a part of. Pierce now looking for an opportunity to grab his second top 10 finish of the season, or maybe better yet, his second career Cars Tour late model stock win. He's a 10th car to take time, trying to best Chad McCumbie's 17.505 as McCumbie looks for his first pole since Southern National Motorsports Park 1 year ago. First time around for Brandon Pierce, slots him into 9th. He'll be looking to do what many drivers have done already on their second lap, and that is go faster. And Pierce, as he comes to the line, will do that, but not enough to move up the running order. Pierce remains in the 9th spot for now.
A tough spot to be put in there for Brandon Pierce. He had about 5-10 minutes to think about that qualifying run that he was going to go out and make as we quickly move forward to the other two. And I'm not exactly sure how this will be scored. Again, we have the 2W, Matt Waltz, but we also have a 2 with a driver whose last initial is W. So we'll see how our good friend Lee Watson handles that scoring. But this is the number 2 out of Randleman, North Carolina, the Mid-Carolina Landscaping Ford of Ryan Wilson, who, man, he gets close to going just a little bit over there off of turn number 2. Very easy to dip your right sides off. If he's going to slide all the way to the line, a 9:21 on lap 1. He follows it up with a 9:00. But you can see these drivers fighting these race cars all the way around. And Eric, this was a driver I think many teams will be looking at Race Monitor in the pit area to see what this car can run.
Laid down a flyer in the final practice session just a short while ago. 2023 pole winner here, the Tobaccoville, USA. Hartsville Country Club number 13 for AK Performance. One of the Kelly twins, Cody Kelly in the 13. 8th fastest his first time around. Started 4th, finished 17th in this race last year. Trucks also won the 2023 Carteret County Race. Look. Pole at Florence, and it's not going to happen. Second lap, 7th for Cody Kelly, with his brother waiting in the wings right now to see what he can do.
And when I got to catch up with each of these two yesterday, they were standing next to each other, and it was actually Casey who's driving this number 16 car right now in the Tobaccoville USA Chevrolet for AK Performance, that pointed to his brother Cody, who just went out and said, I know that we feel pretty good, but they look really good. So we'll see how that pans out here for this number 16 car, who in fact will best the effort of his twin brother as he goes out and runs a 6:43 on his first lap around. 6th fastest for the opposite Casey Kelly. And he's going to go right to the top of the charts. Casey Kelly, 17.487. First driver into the 4s. And Eric, that gets a pretty good rouse out of this crowd that loves to see their hometown drivers do well, and they got another one to root for right here.
A new track record for Casey Kelly. Could it be a new track record for Matt Cox, multi-time track champion here at Florence, winner here already this season in the Cox Racing, Aaron Sales and Lease, and Elliott Properties. Heritage Transportation number 51 from Long, South Carolina. 7th on his first lap. That's in the ballpark for what Casey Kelly ran on lap 1. Can Matt Cox jump into the 17 fours and go to the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole? No, he's close, but just shy. Matt Cox to the front row, second quickest.
That is a 498 for Matt Cox, 11 1/1000ths of a second shy of Casey Kelly's lap in the number 16. We welcome another driver who called Florence Motor Speedway home and developed here as a late model stock car driver 1 year ago, the Ivy Active Chevrolet. For Hettinger Racing's Donovan Strauss, who was walking the grandstands just about maybe 30 minutes or so before we sent these cars out for qualifying, handing out hero cards, signing them, and interacting with many of these fans that grew up watching him race at this racetrack just a year ago. As Strauss's first time will clock in 8th fastest. He'll run a 6:77 on lap number 2, but will stay in that 8th position for Donovan Strauss.
The driver scored career win number 1 at Langley a handful of rounds ago. 2022 Cars Tour Late Model Stock Rookie of the Year. His 10th start of 2025 in the Medic Corporation AH Race Cars and Atkins Propane 00. With a big slide off the corner to round out lap 1, Chase Burrow. First lap, 1790 with a 5, 15th of the 16 cars that have been on the racetrack so far. He was 4th at Anderson, his 5th top 10 of 2025. 2 prior Cars Tour starts here at Florence. His best finish was 18th in 2024, but he's completed all the laps and a big pickup on lap 2 to the top 10. Chase Burrow to 8th.
Driver making his second appearance in qualifying, this time looking for a Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole award here at Florence Motor Speedway on the late model stock car side of things at Jones Utilities and Family Tire and Auto. Number 44, Fredericksburg, Virginia's Connor Jones, in a team that has picked up quite a bit of momentum heading towards the end of the 2025 season, much like they did 1 year ago. Connor Jones' first lap is going to slot that 44 car in the 15th position in an 8:08. Pushing up off of turn number 4, Jones trying to wrestle that car around, and unfortunately for Connor Jones, doesn't look like it's going to be any better on lap 2. In fact, he'll go slower on his second lap.
Here's the driver we just heard from a short while ago, making his 6th career Cars Tour start and first since 2024. His last start produced a career best effort, rolled off 6th and finished 4th at his home track at Langley, and he's a 2025 Hampton Heat winner. The Waltz Engineered Sales, DAFCON, full caliber construction number 2W for his family-owned race team out of Carrollton, Virginia, Matt Waltz. His first lap, 17th of the 18 cars that have been on the racetrack so far. Bit of a bobble off turn 2 on the exit of the corner on his second lap. And we'll see if Waltz could see that significant increase in terms of positions gained on this second lap, and it will not be much to 14th for Matt Waltz. He'll have some work to do when he takes the green flag tonight.
If you're a Cars Tour Racing fan and you love qualifying, be sure that you're paying attention now. 5 of our last 9 competitors going out and qualifying here at Florence Motor Speedway. Top 5 in the championship points battle, including this driver in the number 57 IBCI Chevrolet for the Carroll Speed Shop. It is Landon Huffman out of Claremont, North Carolina, who admittedly has said that he is not always a huge fan of this racetrack. It hasn't necessarily been kind to him when he's or in Cars Tour competition, and looking to buck that trend here tonight. 12th fastest for Landon Huffman on lap 1. Lap 2 looks a little bit smoother. Can Landon Huffman pick up? And in fact, he will, up to 8th, a 584 for the 57 of Landon Huffman.
Here's a driver pulling double duty for the first time in his Cars Tour career, because this is also going to be his first late model stock car start of his career. Driving the number 97 for Van Dyke Racing Performance in the ALL Construction number 97, Isaac Kitzmiller. We'll be wheeling the number 25 for Rackley War on the Pro Late Model side tomorrow. Going to go up to Darlington to help the Truck Series team. Grant Enfinger will be driving for, and then he'll fly out to DuQuoin to watch his father race on the dirt for the second time in 2025 in ARCA Menards competition. Kitzmiller's first lap, 18.423 the first time around. The 20th car on the racetrack, looking for a pickup here on lap number 2. Just a couple of weeks from now, he'll be trying to wrap up the ARCA Menards East Series Championship. But tonight, making his late model stock car debut with the Tour, he improves on the second lap but remains 20th.
Next driver out on the racetrack, making his second consecutive start in the Z-Max Cars Tour, presented by Sound Gear in the Bass Pro Shops number 8 for his own race team. It is Dale Earnhardt Jr. out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, looking to follow up some tremendous efforts that he had here at this racetrack back in 2024, including a 4th at the Icebreaker and a run through the field in the South Carolina 400 a year ago before a fuel pump issue plagued his race car late in the going. 18th fastest on lap number 1 and 8:98 for Earnhardt, who is looking to gear up and focus on this second lap. Earnhardt Jr. to the line, and he's up into the top 10, 17,675. So Earnhardt Jr., one of his best qualifying efforts that he has had so far at Florence Motor Speedway.
With only 6 cars to go, it appears Junior's going to be starting a lot closer to the front here tonight than what he did back in November. Look out for that 8 car. A warm welcome back to this driver out of Dallas, North Carolina. AK Performance number 98, Jacob Hefner, back in competition for his first start of 2025. His best Cars Tour finish here was 5th in March of 2023, and he was 9th in this race 1 year ago and 4th in last year's running of the South Carolina 400. Hefner trying to see what he's got here on this second time through. It'll be 5 cars to go after this as Hefner comes to the line. He was 19th on lap number 1, was that of Jacob Hefner. And the second time through for Hefner moves him up to 18th spot.
It's an 8:03 there for Jacob Hefner as another championship competitor here in the Cars Tour. But when you talk to Cade Brown about it, they're not necessarily focused on the points. He says that I just want to get my first Cars Tour win. He's been close so many times, but as a part of the championship fight, sitting just 17 points back of the marker that Connor Hall sits at right now. This car went through a 30-lap run earlier today, but it seems their qualifying speed isn't that bad either. 14th fastest on lap 1 is 6:98. It ties Cody Kelly. Can Cade Brown pick up here on lap 2? And indeed, Brown does pick up here on his second lap for the former South Carolina 400 champion. 9th fastest at a 5:94 for Cade Brown.
The points leader by 4 points, coming off of a 5th place finish at Anderson last time out. 2-time winner on the season, New River All-American Speedway, the last one coming in round number 3 at Cordele. The Bass Pro Shops, Roto-Rooter and Sundrop Chevrolet. Car number 88 for Hampton, Virginia's Connor Hall. Hall, who has a pole here last season before going on to finish 4th. Also had a win here in weekly competition in 2024, 16th on lap number 1. Hall looking for a big pickup here his second time around. And the points leader Hall on lap 2 is going to jump up to 4th. A great pickup between laps 1 and 2 to put Hall into the top 5 with 3 cars to go.
So right now, 2 of the positions set up for championship points. Kelly right now would get 2 for the pole. Matt Cox would get 1 for starting on the outside of the front row. But that doesn't mean anything to these championship competitors, including this one looking for yet another Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole in 2025 with a portion of the schedule that favors this race team. But Eric, I think you have to start to include racetracks like this for the Jesus is Lord Convenience Tire and Auto Toyota of Minnie Tyrell out of Mineral, Virginia. First lap through for Minnie Tyrell is not going to be quite what he wanted. Needs a big pickup here on his second go-around. He went from 21st, second lap through for Minnie Tyrell is going to be an improvement to the 16th spot. 17,724 for Minnie Tyrell.
Another rookie competitor in 2025 with the Cars Tour. Driving out of Wilson, North Carolina. This, the Hettinger Racing number 71 for Southern Bank, Vet Adventures, Victory Custom Trailers. 3 top 10s across his 10 starts so far this season. Parker Eatman. Eatman, 2024 Thanksgiving Classic winner, 24th on his first go-around. He, too, looking to be one of the many who have seen a significant increase in terms of I would say, finishing position in his qualifying time with a big slide off turn 4. Eatman kept his foot in it, coming to the line, and it looks as though he will pick it up just a little bit, a few spots for Parker Eatman, as we welcome the final car on the racetrack. Eatman, 18th, and here is the last car.
Right now, this driver sits 4 points back in the championship standings. If he can run a lap of a 17.486, that would be only 2 points that Connor Hall would enjoy over Landon Lewis for Kevin Harvick Incorporated out of Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. First lap across for Landon Lewis is going to slot that number 29 car in the 14th position. Needs nearly 2/10 of a second to try to unseat Kelly at the top of the charts off of turn number 4. Last effort for Landon Lewis. It's going to be good enough for 6th, but not good enough to go to the top. Landon Lewis will start 6th and in fact will line up just behind the driver that he's chasing in the championship point standings. But at the end of it all, it is a Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award for Casey Kelly.
The 2024 late model champion at Florence Motor Speedway, now joining his brother Cody as drivers who have won poles at Florence Motor Speedway with the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear, and another fellow hometown hero, Matt Cox, slated to line up alongside. First time we get to hear from this driver as a pole sitter. Pike is with Casey Kelly.
Casey Kelly, Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole sitter for the late model stock cars here at Florence Motor Speedway. Casey, it's not like the Kelly family doesn't know how to qualify here. Routinely, we see you and your brother Cody up near the top of the charts in qualifying. What have you all done this time to make sure that the race pace is there for 125 laps?
Well, I think it'll be up to me tonight. He gave me a fast car, Kendall Sellers, and AK Performance, so it'll just be up to the driver to hold on for 125.
And you know all these fans here at Florence would love to see their defending track champion jump in and mix it up with the best of the best, the Z-Max Cars Tour, and potentially land himself in Cookout Victory Lane. But he'll start up front. Casey Kelly, Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole sitter for the late model stock cars at Florence.
So compelling to see Casey Kelly, who has every opportunity to go to victory lane tonight on the front row. Matt Cox will join him as well. But you look throughout the top 10, Eric, so many strong names that are starting up towards the front of his field. Landon Huffman, Cade Brown just making up the top 10. How about Dale Earnhardt Jr.? He'll be rolling off 13th. That's a spot that, again, he started way back in the field in the South Carolina 400 and had a real opportunity to win that race at the halfway break at lap 125. We only have 125 laps here, but just so much can happen tonight. I'm so excited.
A lot of differing agendas, too. The tight championship battle on the late model stock side. Many drivers looking for career win #1 with the Cars Tour, and others trying to see if they can position themselves here towards the end of the season. Here's that second page of results here with Cade Brown, one of our championship contenders, in the 11th spot. Burrow, the aforementioned junior, rookie Donovan Strauss, and Elio Meza in his Cars Tour debut on the late model stock side, rounding out your top 15. And Blake, it should be noted that these results are in fact unofficial, so we'll wait for final confirmation on the starting grid for tonight's 125 lapper as a portion of the Cookout 225.
Again, we have a lot of action coming up here at Florence Motor Speedway, locals and the Cookout 225. We can't wait to be with you on FloRacing for it all. We'll be right back.